Good morning, students. Let us define the two types of molecules today, namely a non-polar molecule and a polar molecule. We have studied in the lower classes that molecule is a composition of atoms, and again atom is a composition of positive and negative charges. We have heard that atoms are electrically neutral. What is the meaning of it? Every atom consists of equal number of positive and negative charges. Where are these charges present inside the atom? Where are the positive charges present? Safely inside the nucleus. Who is contributing to the positive charge of the nucleus? Namely the protons. Okay. Now where are the negative charges of the atom are located? Yes, they are the revolving electrons, and these electrons possess the negative charge. Now let us consider one such molecule which is called as a non-polar molecule. Before defining, you look at the diagram. Now in the entire molecule there are so many atoms, and inside every atom there are some number of positive and negative charges, so that the concentration of all the negative charges will be at a point that is called the center of gravity of the negative charges, we can say, or simply the center of the negative charges. Similarly, all the positive charges present inside the entire nucleus will be concentrated at one point, that is called the center of the positive charge or center of gravity of the positive charge. So now we will define what is a non-polar molecule. It is a molecule in which center of the positive charges and the center of the negative charges coincide with each other. That means what? The center of positive charge and the center of negative charge both are at the same point. That means there is no distance of separation between the centers. Okay? Example, you take hydrogen, nitrogen and oxygen molecules. And inside such molecules, namely the non-polar molecules, say the center of the positive charges will be at the geometric center, and all these electrons are also concentrated at the same point, so that there is no distance of separation between the positive and the negative charges. So such molecules have equal number of charges, okay, plus q and minus q. But the separation distance between the two charges 2a will be equal to 0. Can they have a dipole moment? We have already defined what is electric dipole moment, which is a product of the charge of the molecule into the distance between the centers of separation. Okay. So here there is no distance between the charge centers. As a result, such molecules cannot possess any dipole moment. Okay, now what is the shape of the molecules? Non-polar molecules, mostly what will the shape they have is a spherical shape. They have a spherical symmetry. Now let us define what a polar molecule is. Polar molecule is one in which the center of positive charges and the center of negative charges do not coincide. They do not coincide. That is, they are separated. They are separated from each other. Example, water, HCl, chloroform, like that many other molecules are named as polar molecule. Now look at this diagram. In this molecule, you can see on the left hand side all the negative charges are concentrated, and on the right hand side the positive charges are concentrated at one point. So the center of gravity of these negative charges, the center of gravity of the negative charges will be to the left side of the molecule, and the center of gravity of the positive charges will be located at the right side of the molecule, so that there is some distance of separation. There is some distance of separation between the two centers. You take, for example, this is a plus q. So this is a plus q and this is a minus q, and the distance of separation is 2a. Can you recall? It is electric dipole, and also it is having a dipole moment. So what is the definition of electric dipole moment? It is the product of one of the charges making the dipole and the distance of separation between the dipole. So we have already studied that the magnitude of the dipole moment P is equal to what? 2a into q. So such molecules have a dipole moment of their own. And what is the shape of such molecule? You just observe. It is not a sphere, so it is a ellipse or ellipsoid shape. Understand? So now we have defined a non-polar molecule and a polar molecule. There are some points of distinction between these two types of molecules. So in a nutshell, I will tell you once again. A non-polar molecule is one in which the center of the positive charge and the center of the negative charge will coincide. They are not separated. As a result, such molecules do not possess an electric dipole moment. That is very important. And the shape of such molecule will be spherical. Why? Because the distribution of the positive and negative charges will be symmetrical. Understand? There is a symmetrical distribution of the positive and negative charges in a non-polar molecule. Now, if you come to the polar molecule, how did we define it? It is a molecule in which the center of the positive charges and the center of the negative charges are separated from each other. That is, they do not coincide with each other. As a result, they possess a permanent electric dipole moment of their own. This is very important, my dear students. The polar molecules will possess a permanent electric dipole moment of their own. Understand? And the shape of the molecule is what? It is a ellipsoid. Okay? That is, the positive charges will be concentrated at one end of the molecule and the negative charges are concentrated at the other end. Okay? So that they are getting separated. Example for this is, the best example is a water molecule which possesses a permanent electric dipole moment. Now another very interesting point I am going to tell you. What will happen? What will happen if this non-polar molecule is kept inside a uniform electric field? So now I will consider the two plates, okay, two metal plates, and one is connected to the positive and the other one is connected to the negative of a potential difference or a battery, let us say. And inside this, see, there is an electric field. There is an electric field along this direction. Okay, from the positive plate towards the negative plate, there is a uniform electric field. Inside this, if I will place this molecule, means then it will be displaced. It will change its shape. The molecule will be disturbed by the electric field. As a result, what will happen? All these negative charges present inside the molecule will be dislocated from one point to the other, and all these positive charges also will be dislocated. Can you all understand? There is a redistribution of charges inside the molecule. That is very important to be noted. So even when a non-polar molecule with a symmetrical distribution of charges will be placed inside an external electric field, means there is a rearrangement or a dislocation of the positive and negative charges, such that all the negative charges present inside the molecule will be attracted towards the positive pole of the electric field, and the positive charges will be attracted towards the negative pole of the electric field, so that there is a distance of separation. So here there is a minus q and here there is a plus q. The distance of separation is what? 2a, and this is equal to, that is it will possess a dipole moment given by P equal to 2a into q, and this is the dipole moment, okay, which is called as induced dipole moment. Induced dipole moment. Okay, and this induced dipole moment will have a direction along the direction of the electric field. So the direction of the induced dipole moment and the electric field both are one and the same. So this is the expression for the induced dipole moment. Again, when I will remove the molecule from the electric field and keep it outside the field, means again what? Again redistribution of charges will take place and the charges will be symmetrically distributed. So long as the non-polar molecule is kept inside the electric field, it will possess a dipole moment which is called by the name induced dipole moment. Again, when you remove it outside the electric field, it will lose its dipole moment. But what will happen if this molecule which is already having a dipole moment is placed inside an electric field? it will orient itself along the direction of the external electric field. So very simple. So here also what will happen if this molecule which is already having a dipole moment P, if it is placed inside an external electric field means then again it will orient itself along the direction of the external electric field, so that the direction of the dipole moment and the electric field will be along the same direction. Okay. Now we want to define a new term called a dielectric. This is very important. Dielectric. We have studied what are conductors and insulators in the previous chapter. Conductors are those materials which will allow the current to flow through them. So through the conductors, who is helping to carry the current is the free electrons. There is a flow of or drift of free electrons through the conductor. Okay, now what are insulators? Insulators are those materials which do not allow the electric charges to flow through them. So the charges, free electrons are not available inside the insulators. Why? They are also made up of atoms only, no? Insulators are also made up of atoms, means then they will also have equal number of positive and negative charges. They also contain what? Electrons which are negative charges. Why then they are not contributing to the flow of electric current? Yes, this is because the electrons are tightly bound to the nucleus. Understand? The force of attraction between the electrons and the nucleus will be very strong, so that no free electrons are available for electrical conduction. So, in any insulator, why the free electrons are not coming out for electrical conduction? This is because they are tightly bound to the nucleus. No free electrons are available. Now, what will happen if such a material, a rectangular slab of an insulator, is placed inside an electric field? Let us see now. So, in terms of dielectric, we are going to explain that insulator placed inside an electric field. So, what is meant by a dielectric means it is an insulator. Okay, it is an insulator in which no free electrons are available for conduction. So for conduction, okay. Now when such a material insulator is placed inside an electric field, so let us consider that these are two metal plates. One is connected to the positive potential and the other one is connected to the negative potential. So there is an electric field. Okay, this is the direction of the electric field which is from the positive towards the negative. So inside this, if an insulator is placed, means the molecules present inside the insulator will be disturbed by the presence of the electric field. Just like we have already studied what will happen when a non-polar molecule is placed inside an electric field. There is a redistribution of charges. Like that here also, one end of the insulator will be induced with the negative charges and the other end of the insulator will be induced with the positive charges. As a result, an internal electric field, another internal electric field EI, this is induced electric field, will be produced within the insulator. Now this type of material is called as a dielectric because it develops two electric poles, positive and negative poles within itself, within the material itself. So there is a development of a negative polarity on the left side and a positive polarity on the right side of the insulator. Okay, in the presence of an external electric field. So suppose if E naught is the external electric field and EI is the induced electric field which is developed inside the insulator, then such a material can be called as a dielectric. Okay, so dielectric is nothing but an insulator only, but whenever it is placed inside an external electric field, it develops an internal electric field which is oppositely directed to that of the external electric field. And also the strength of the induced electric field will be less in strength, okay, than that of the external electric field. As a result, there is a resultant electric field. So the resultant electric field is E net. The net electric field will be equal to what? E naught minus E induced. So there is a net electric field in the material, that is E naught minus Ei. So such a material, such an insulating material only is called as a dielectric. Actually in a dielectric, free electrons are not available, but when it is placed inside an external electric field, there is a development of positive charges and negative charges on the surface, on the outer surface of the material. So we can also call these charges developed, okay, the charges which are developed on the free surface, the left surface of the material, no, it is developing a surface charge density sigma, okay, and this is minus P, we can say. Okay, I will tell you what is the meaning of this P. P stands for polarization, that is the next topic, and these are the induced charges. So we can also use this is sigma I, or you can also use the symbol minus sigma induced. Induced, this symbol also is permitted, okay. So this side the charges developed on the right side of the dielectric are positive, therefore this is plus sigma induced. I stands for induced. Understand? They are not the regular charges, they are the induced charges, temporary charges which are coming out to the surface due to the presence of the electric field. So again, when the material is taken out of the electric field, what will happen? The positive and negative charges on the surface will disappear and they will redistribute. So such a material only is called as a dielectric, and it is defined as an insulator in which no free electrons are available for conduction. Understood? Okay students, now we are going to the next topic. I hope you must have understood this all. Shall we proceed? Okay. The two types of dielectrics are non-polar dielectric and polar dielectric. A non-polar dielectric is made up of non-polar molecules. You can see here the first picture is a rectangular slab made up of a non-polar dielectric which consists of non-polar molecules. The shape of the non-polar molecules is spherical, and there is a uniform distribution of charges such that the center of the positive and negative charges both are coinciding at the same point. As a result, each molecule will not possess a dipole moment. See, in the absence of electric field, that is E equal to 0, there is no dipole moment for any molecule. But when the same dielectric slab is placed inside a uniform electric field E, such that the positive pole of the electric field is on the left and the negative pole of the electric field is on the right, then in the presence of an electric field, that is E not equal to 0, that is in the presence of electric field, each and every molecule will be disturbed by the external electric field. As a result, there will be a redistribution of the positive and the negative charge centers, and each and every molecule will acquire an induced dipole moment which is represented by the symbol small p. So small p vector is the induced dipole moment. Who is inducing it in the molecules? It is the external electric field which has induced an dipole moment inside each and every molecule. Okay. So the direction of the induced dipole moment and the external electric field will be along the right side. They will be in the same direction. Okay. The second type of dielectric is a polar dielectric. So it is a dielectric slab or a material which is made up of polar molecules. So what is a polar molecule we have defined earlier? Here the centers of the positive and negative charges will be separated from each other, so that even in the absence of electric field, each and every molecule will possess a electric dipole moment. Look at the picture. This is E equal to 0. What do you mean by that? In the absence of an electric field. So in the picture you see every molecule is already having a positive pole and a negative pole. As a result, each and every molecule is possessing a permanent electric dipole moment even in the absence of an electric field. And you see that the direction of the electric dipole moment is from the negative charge towards the positive charge. So here also you see that it is from the negative charge to the positive charge. So like that here the third molecule. So here the direction is from the negative to the positive. So like that every molecule is possessing a electric dipole moment. But you check the direction of the electric dipole moment of all the molecules. Are they all in the same direction? No. Though every individual molecule is possessing an electric dipole moment, they orient themselves in random directions. This is because the direction of the dipole moment for every molecule is not the same, it is in different directions. This happens in the absence of an external electric field. Now, what will happen when such a polar dielectric is placed inside a uniform electric field? That is the fourth picture. So, here E not equal to 0. What do you mean by that? It is in the presence of an external electric field. So, the external electric field is such that the left side pole is positive and the right side pole is negative. So, even in the absence of external electric field itself, already the molecules will possess a dipole moment, but in different directions. But when I place such a polar dielectric inside a uniform electric field, each and every molecule will align itself along the direction of the external electric field. So here you see that minus to plus. So the direction of the dipole moment. So the direction of the dipole moment vector small p is the same as that of the external electric field. Okay. So this is the difference between a non-polar dielectric and a polar dielectric. Now we want to define a very important term which is called as polarization. So polarization vector, and it is denoted with a symbol capital P. Okay, this is different from the small p vector. Small p vector already we have introduced here and all. What do you mean by small p vector? That is the electric dipole moment. Okay, and if you divide the electric dipole moment acquired by a dielectric by its volume, then the dielectric moment acquired by the substance per unit volume only is called as polarization vector. It is also called electric polarization or dielectric polarization also. So what do you mean by polarization capital P vector? It is defined as, okay, it is defined as the electric dipole moment, okay, the dipole moment acquired per unit volume, dipole moment small p, okay, this is capital P and this is small p, okay, acquired by the dielectric per unit volume. So this is a new definition, and now you will see that the direction of the dipole moment and the electric field are one and the same. That means it is a linear dielectric, linear isotropic medium, linear isotropic dielectric, where dipole moment and the electric field are in the same direction. Okay, now the polarization P, capital P, that is a capital P vector is also proportional to the electric intensity E. Yes, if the strength of the electric field is weaker, then the dipole moment acquired per unit volume also will be lesser. Suppose if the intensity of the electric field E is very strong, greater, then the value of capital P vector, that is dipole moment acquired per unit volume, will also be larger. They are directly proportional to each other. Therefore, P vector is proportional to E vector. Here P is capital P, that is polarization, or P vector, okay, is equal to a constant times E vector, and that constant of proportionality is denoted by a Greek alphabet chi. It is called chi. So this is like this one curve and one straight line. Since it is in the electric field, it is having a suffix of E, chi E, where chi E is a constant which is called by the name, chi E is called by the name electric susceptibility. This also can be called as dielectric susceptibility sometimes. Otherwise, it is called as electric susceptibility, which is a constant for the given material. So the value of chi E depends upon the nature of the dielectric. Now lastly, one more definition we are going to explain, that is called as dielectric strength. Dielectric strength. Now in the previous examples, we placed the dielectric inside a uniform electric field. And we found that the dipole moment acquired per unit volume depends on the strength of the electric field. Suppose if you place a dielectric inside the electric field and continuously if you go on increase the strength of the electric field, means what will happen? At one stage the molecules of the dielectric will break and all the bound charges will become free charges, and such a phenomenon is called as a dielectric breakdown. So there is a certain limit up to which we can increase the electric field strength, beyond which dielectric breakdown will take place, the bound charges will become free charges, and the conductivity of the material will begin. Understand? So we should not allow the dielectric breakdown to happen. So there is a maximum value of electric field, beyond which dielectric breakdown will take place. This value, this maximum electric field up to which we can increase the electric field so that the dielectric breakdown does not happen only, is called as the dielectric strength. So how to define dielectric strength? It is the maximum electric field. Okay, it is the maximum electric field up to which the dielectric can withstand, up to which the dielectric, okay, will withstand, without what? Withstanding means what? Without any breakdown, okay, without any breakdown. This is called as what? The maximum value of the electric field up to which the dielectric will withstand without any breakdown is called as what? Dielectric strength. Now there are different dielectrics like mica, ebonite, oil, air also is a dielectric. For example, I will write the value for air, okay, for air, and the dielectric strength, okay, the dielectric strength is found to be 3 into 10 to the power of 6 volt per meter, okay. So today we have discussed what polar dielectric, non-polar dielectric, and the phenomenon called polarization, and lastly the dielectric strength. Have you all understood? Okay. This is regarding a capacitor. Capacitor is a device which is used to store electric charges and energy, that is electric energy. Okay. In most of the applications in our everyday life, for example, in a fan, in a ceiling fan, in the automobiles starters, and in some other devices we use the capacitors, okay. So what is a capacitor? It is a device which is used to store electric charges and energy. Now depending upon the shape of the device, there are many types of capacitors. For example, the parallel plate capacitor, the spherical capacitor, and the cylindrical capacitor, okay. But now we are going to discuss only one type of capacitor, namely the parallel plate capacitor, the simplest one. It consists of two parallel circular metal plates, mostly circular. So the two metal plates are A and B, which are parallel to each other, and they are connected to a cell whose terminal potential difference is V volt. As soon as the two metal plates A and B are connected to the cell or battery, immediately what will happen here? The positive potential of the cell is connected to the metal plate A, and it will pull, it will remove the electrons, free electrons, okay, from the metal plate A, and it will pass these electrons to the metal plate B. So it is like the positive potential of the cell is pulling the electrons from the metal plate A and driving them to which plate? To the plate B. So slowly, first what will happen? A few electrons will be sent. As a result, here positive charges, a few positive charges will be produced. And after some more time, a little more, okay, some more electrons are driven, little more positive charges will be developed. Again little more. little more, like that, more and more positive charges will be developed on A and negative charges will be developed on B. This will take place up to a maximum extent, up to, that is, till the potential difference across these two plates A and B is equal to the potential difference across the terminals of the battery, after which further migration of charges will not take place. Okay, so on the left plate A, a charge of plus Q coulomb is deposited, and on the plate B, a charge of minus Q coulomb is deposited. So what is the net charge which is stored on the two plates? Net charge, that is minus Q plus Q. So what is the net charge? Equal to 0. Understand that? So whenever I say that charges are stored on the plates of the capacitor, it is either on the positive, that is the plate A, or on the plate B. Okay, on any one plate only we have to consider. So in general, how much coulomb of charge can be stored in the capacitor means we should say Q coulomb. Now not 0. Charges are stored. Net charge only is 0, I said, because when you add the positive and negative charges means net charge will be equal to 0. This does not mean that charges are not stored. Charges are stored, of course, either on plate A or on plate B. Only the magnitude of the charge we have to consider, either positive or negative. And suppose if you increase the potential difference V, then the quantity of charge Q also can be increased. So there is a direct dependence on this Q and V. Understand? So the charges stored Q depends on the potential difference. If V is less means Q also will be less. So this Q is proportional to, I can write the charges stored Q is proportional to V, or Q is equal to a constant of proportionality denoted by C into V. Q is equal to a constant of proportionality C into V. Understand? Where this C, the constant of proportionality C, is called as capacitance of the capacitor. Understand? So what is C here? I told C is called as capacitance of the capacitor. You can simply shortly remember this as a capacity also. It is a capacity also. So capacity or capacitance of the capacitor. Okay. Now from this above equation Q equal to CV, what is the expression for C equal to? C is equal to Q by V. Okay. So C is equal to Q by V, and Q is in coulomb. Okay. It is a coulomb divided by V is in volt. So this is coulomb per volt, or another unit is also used, that is a farad. So by substituting Q and V, what unit we get is coulomb per volt. But what is the other unit of capacitance also is farad. Now this equation C equal to Q by V is very simple, but there are so many concepts which are hidden in this equation. So from this equation, since Q is in the numerator and V is in the denominator, you cannot say directly that C is directly proportional to Q and inversely proportional to V and all. The capacitance does not depend on the quantity of charge and the potential difference at all. Why? This is because suppose if you increase the potential difference twice as 2V, and proportionately what is going to happen to the quantity of charge Q also? It will also be doubled, so that Q will become 2Q. So once again the ratio is what? 2Q by 2V is equal to again C itself. The capacitance of the capacitor can never be increased merely by increasing the potential difference or the charges. Understand? The capacitance actually depends on some other factors which we are going to discuss in the next video. That is, the capacitance depends on the area of the metal plates A and B, the distance of separation between the metal plates A and B, and the medium which is present in between the two plates, whether it is air or any other substance like paper or oil or ebonite. Understand? So the capacitance does not depend on Q and V, but by formula it depends, that's all. Okay. So now how to define the capacitance of a capacitor? The capacitance of the capacitor is defined as the ratio of the charges given to the plates of the capacitor to the potential difference between the two plates of the capacitor. Understood? So I will define once again. The capacitance of a capacitor is defined as the ratio of the charges given to the plates of the capacitor to the potential difference between the plates of the capacitor, and its unit is coulomb per volt or farad. So farad, this is a honor to Michael Faraday. We have given farad as the unit for the capacitance. So when will be this capacitance equal to 1 farad? So 1 farad is equal to 1 coulomb divided by 1 volt. 1 coulomb divided by 1 volt. That means when the potential difference V equal to 1 volt is connected between the two plates, and if 1 coulomb of charge is stored on each plate of the capacitor, then its capacitance is said to be 1 farad. But farad is a very large unit, though 1 is a small number. But when I say that the capacitance is 1 farad means, then it is a very large capacitance. Understand? Such a capacitor, if you want to design, means then several meters to kilometers plate size will increase to hold 1, that is a farad. Therefore, practically the units of capacitance or practical units are different. So what are the practically used units of capacitance? Microfarad. So first one is what? Microfarad. This is mu for micro and capital F for farad. So microfarad is equal to 10 power minus 6 farad. And second one is picofarad. So picofarad means it is small p and capital F, and that is equal to 10 power minus 12 farad. 10 power minus 12 farad. Understand? So the practical units are microfarad and picofarad.